Black people who exist here in Cape Town and in the Western Cape are called immigrants by Helen Zille, who came through a ship into this country, into this city. She's got some chicken audacity to say to our people they are immigrants. Because they've got no regards for a black life. Black life is cheap, and they can treat it the way they want to treat it. Today, there is a sponsored view that Western Cape must become an independent country. All they are saying is the Western Cape must become an independent white colony so that they are away from what the Constitution of South Africa demands, that South Africa belongs to all who live in it, black and white. They want an exclusive area for white people. That's why they call for an independent Western Cape. I don't know why they can't take their bags and go to Orania or go to any place where it's exclusively white. There will never be an independent Western Cape. Western Cape is South Africa, and South Africa is Western Cape, and it will never be a colony again. Not when we're still alive. Even when we are dead, those who come after us should know that this province belongs to South Africa, and it will never be independent from South Africa. They must go and ask Mangosuthu Buthelezi when he wanted to make KZN an independent state and refused the IFP to participate in the 1994 elections. It was a waste of time. Whether he liked it or not, he ended up joining the elections in 1994. That's why the IFP was there through a sticker on a ballot paper, because it came too late. They said Natal was independent and therefore it was not part of South Africa. Natal is part of South Africa and it will never be independent. So Helen and all sponsored molecules that exist under her, they should know this province very soon will belong to the EFF, and it will be fully declared that it belongs to South Africa. These tourists who are coming here in their numbers should never confuse her to be meaning that these tourists belong to South Africa. They remain tourists. And therefore, by being here in their huge numbers as white tourists does not make Western Cape an independent state. Western Cape is South Africa, and these tourists, they know wherever they come from. When they make bookings, it first says South Africa, then it says Cape Town or Western Cape. It doesn't say the independent state of Western Cape. They come to the Republic of South Africa and eventually come to the Western Cape. The working class is both those who are employed and those who are unemployed, but the determination of their class position is their relationship to the means of production. Do they own or they do not own the means of production? Anyone who doesn't own the land, anyone who doesn't own monopoly industries, anyone who doesn't own the banks, anyone who doesn't own the insurance finance companies, that person belongs to us. And those people must be attracted into the organization. That includes, by the way, white women. White women do not own the means of production. They are excluded by their own husbands. That's why the argument that says housewives must be paid is correct. Because as these husbands who are rich go into manipulating the economy, you become the house executive and make sure that everything at home goes well. It's a job on its own and therefore must be paid. That's why you must never marry a housewife if you don't have money. It's a job. She has to look after these workers. She has to look after children. She has to make sure that meetings at school are being attended and all. It's a full-time job. So, and actually people get hired for that. To take kids to school, to go fetch them. She does that. So, when we fight, remember, in our struggle, we are also fighting for white women who are excluded from the economy by white Afrikaner males who have no regard for females. And who, by the way, are very big on domestic violence. They beat them every Friday and make them cancel cases every Monday. After drinking Clip, Drift, and Coke, they go and attack their wives. So those women, those white women, are waiting for the EFF to come and rescue them from a racist masculinity of white Afrikaner males who think that life revolves around them. So we hate nobody. That's why we fight for white women. So our constituency include white females. Our constituency include the white hobos that we meet on the streets. When you talk about the EFF, they say they don't want the EFF because it wants to take the land away from them. Which land? You are at the robot. Which land are we going to take from you? You own no land. We want to take the land from these people who are manipulating land ownership in Stellenbosch and give you a portion. You are not born a white hobo. You've got the skills. We can give you a piece of land and you work on it. So, working class means exactly that. Working class does not mean race. It means a white hobo which does not own the means of production belongs to the EFF. So every white person who doesn't own the means of production belong to the EFF. Meaning 90% of white people belong to the EFF because in the white community it's only 10% of whites who own the means of production. So you can't say you derive your ideological tools of analysis from Lenin and still view people, these white, landless people, as white people. They must be viewed as the working class. We can disagree politically and still share a glass of Coke. There are a lot of people in the ANC who are my friends and who have never supported me. Don't talk about the EFF. When I was in the ANC, they never supported me. But socially we got along very well. But politically we always knew where we stand. There was never confusion about that. But it didn't mean we can't socialize together. That's why even when I walk with them today, I don't doubt myself. They know where I stand. I know where they stand. Muzwandile Masina in Ikuruleni is a friend of mine. The EFF doesn't want to vote for the ANC in Ikuruleni. It will never happen. We will not vote for the ANC because CIC and Muzwandile are friends. We're not going to use those tools of analysis to determine how we vote in Ekurhuleni. We look at what is in the best interest of the EFF now. What is its strategic objective? And which tactics do we use to arrive at its strategic objective? Does voting for Mzwandile Masina in Ekurhuleni put the EFF in a better position to advance its strategic objective? If the question is no, it doesn't matter how Mzwandile Masina and Malema relate. It will not happen. But tomorrow, after not voting for him, you'll find us together. And when he tries to raise those things, we're here for this other arrangement, not those things. Leave that. It's called political maturity. Let me tell you a secret. Some of the people you have not voted for here are going to leave the EFF. Because to them, EFF is position. And when they don't get positions, they go. You must never see that as a setback. You are very fortunate to come from a province where there is a sea. I come from villages, there is no sea. When they leave, you must know the sea is cleansing itself of opportunities. Why do you want to go? Because you are not elected? Do we owe you a vote? Is that what you joined for? We thought we joined here to liberate the people from the shacks. Why do you make the struggle about yourself? Because whether you are voted for or not, the EFF is still there. Let's continue with the task of joining the EFF. You must never feel sorry for losers who become bitter losers. If you lost because you were robbed and wrong things were said about you and unfairly treated, that's when you must love the organization more. Winnie Mandela went to the grave being a member of the ANC despite the ANC ill-treating her to the grave. Even when she was dead, they still did not want to follow her wishes. That Julius Malema must speak at my funeral. They still wanted to ill-treat her in her coffin. But she got buried with a black, green, and gold flag because she was loyal to that organization. And when it kept on treating her unfairly, she became more loyal to that organization. Why? She knew history will absolve her. What happened? When she died, the young and old woman stood up and said, she did not die. She multiplied, and you will find her in all of us. So the ENCA broadcasted all negative things about her, said all manner of nonsense against her. It was the young women and all women of South Africa who confronted the ENCA and said, you dare don't say that nonsense about her. Their story changed in less than a day to praising her because she knew, even if I'm ill-treated, the day will come where the people will know what I stood for, and they will defend what I stood for. It's not about me. I followed her coffin to a grave, drove behind the hedge. As we were moving on the freeway, on the N1 and turned into William Nicole, I found black and white people standing on the road. It was raining that day. Young kids, white, black, on the road with their parents. They all stood in salutation. They were waving at the hedge as it was passing. I almost cried on that day because they told me this woman is hated by everybody. This woman is not wanted by everybody. Our people stood on that day and said, this is our hero. I did not need anyone to tell me about Winnie Mandela. The people of South Africa stood up in salutation and said, we know her. I asked Mbuyiseni, why are the white people standing here? Because we're told this woman is not wanted by anyone. She's a reject. She's a trouble. They stood and said, we know our leaders. No one will tell us about our leaders, black and white. The road towards her grave, the N1 was closed. Only the funeral cars were allowed on that road. The opposite roads, the cars stopped on their own. Heavy rain. They came out. They took out their phones in salutation. A day before, I went to fetch her from the mortuary. When we went to fetch her, as we're coming back in Soweto, grannies took out chairs and sat down outside their houses, waving at the hash, saying goodbye to their leader. She was never a president. She was never a minister. She was a people's person. She needed no position for her to be declared the mother of the nation. That title till today is not occupied. Because no one get voted a mother of the nation. It's a title you will never get in any conference. You earn it through your doings in society. You want to leave because you are not elected, the door is open.
I'm a king, yes, I'm a king, I think I'm a king,